In a high school, a girl catches everyone's attention wherever she goes. Her name is Alisa Kuju, and her nickname is Alia. The daughter of a Russian father, Alia has the best grades in school and is excellent at sports. She's also the treasurer of the student council. All these qualities make Alia one of the most coveted girls by her classmates and one of those who can't resist this charm. A second-year boy stops her pretending to be handsome. As always, he introduces himself and asks her to have lunch together, but she refuses without thinking twice. So he goes all out and wants to know if he can at least get her phone number, but she says no, because she doesn't have the slightest interest in him. After humiliating the young man to close the coffin, she comments that his necklace is against the school rules. After this massacre, the people around him wonder how this girl can refuse the guy most desired by all the girls in school in this way. When she arrives in the classroom, she deals with the same looks of interest from the boys who cross her path. Sitting in the back of the classroom now, she's saying good morning to her friend Kuzo, but he won't wake up. So she kicks his chair before asking if he stayed up late watching anime again. He confesses that he stayed up until dawn debating with his friend Otaku about the episode they saw. But she calls him an idiot for sacrificing sleep to watch cartoons, since the next day he's all sleepy at school. If being an idiot is professing your love for a work of art without letting yourself be carried away by the bonds of time, then Kaze accepts this insult willingly. Whatever the case, the boy can't help but yawn with tiredness. One of these times, Alia says something to his face. Kuze asks what she said, so she explains that she called him pathetic without paying much attention. Kuze notices that now it would be a chemistry class, but since he didn't bring the material, so he simply puts his desk next to hers. With all this, sudden interest was disappearing as the teacher wrote words like manganese, iron, and oxygen on the board, so as not to allow his friend to fall asleep again. She hit him in the ribs, making him raise his arm on impulse. The teacher asks the boy to answer the question on the board, but he doesn't even know what's going on. Then Alia points to the wrong answer, inducing Kuzi to get the question wrong on purpose. Then she gets up and gives the right answer to the teacher, leaving Kuza surprised to see that he was fooled in such a terrible way. Kuza complains to the girl for having made him get the question wrong on purpose. She sees him angry, and then she cuts him off. Once again, she says something else in Russian. Trust me guys, you're gonna love her voice when she says in Russian. Let's move to the story. He asks, what was that? And she says that she called him an idiot. However, one thing that Alia doesn't know is that Kuza knows how to speak Russian, and in fact she was calling him cute. When he was a child, he used to play with a Russian girl who lived near his grandfather's house, so he ended up learning a lot of that language at that time. Interestingly, it is the same language that his wonderful Russian friend is using to flirt with him in secret, but so as not to kill the girl with shame, and also because she doesn't have the courage, so he decides to keep it a secret. Sometime later, the boy decides to take out the cell phone, but seeing the boy breaking the school rule or using his cell phone, who calls his attention again, saying that the use of the device is only allowed in case of emergency, in which Kuza responds that it is an emergency because they released a legendary character for free in the game, but only those who catch it within 10 minutes. But Alia decides to confiscate the cell phone and sees the character Tsukuyomi, the moon goddess of Japanese mythology. Alia asks why Tsukuyomi has silver hair instead of black. But Kuz doesn't care about the hair color as long as the goddess continues still. Upon hearing this, Alia feels that disguised jealousy and returns the boy's cell phone. Then she says in Russian that she also has silver hair. Kuz understands but continues to act out his act, asking what she said. Then Alia says that she just called him a game addicted. However, Kuzi makes it clear that this label cannot be attributed to him. After all, he is a casual free-to-play player, and against the real addicts, they are the famous whales. Later at lunchtime, Takeshi, one of Kuza's friends, freaks out once again because he is not popular with the women, but Kuza ignores him and only talks to his other friend. After all, they believed that the boy was just freaking out as always, and suddenly the entire student council appears there, including Alia and her sister Mariah, who is the council secretary. However, the other friend says that she apparently has a boyfriend. After all, she always turns down all the boys using this excuse, which implies that even if she didn't, Takeshi wouldn't have a chance. But Takeshi admits that he's jealous because Kuze is close to that goddess Alia, to the point of being able to call her by her nickname. He admits that it's true, but points out that the girl is always picking on him. But Takeshi thinks that this is better than being ignored, especially because Alia hardly talks to anyone else, and that's why he prefers Suru, because she's much more open and communicative than Alia. While listening to this, Kuz takes a look at the girl, but Sue also looks at him and gives an evil smile. Soon she approaches and asks to sit at the table with Alia. When the two sit down, Sue is much more communicative as always. Kuzi and Sue seem to be getting along, but Alia feels that twinge and asks if the two are friends, and Sue says yes, they've known each other since they were children and studied together since kindergarten. So far, the other two boys have finished eating and are going to return the tray. Then Sue gets closer to Kuze and asks if he has considered her offer to join the student council. However, Kuze has said so many times he has no interest in that. The girl insists that he would be a great fit with her and Alia, especially since he has experience as vice president. Alia is surprised by this information. Sue explains that Kuze was her vice president when they were both in elementary school. She makes a point of reminding him that she only ran because the girl was really annoying since she needed a vice president. Having said that, Sue argues with her classmate that this boy knows how to do things. She responds in Russian that she also knows it well, and drinks her can of Oshiruko. At the school exit, Sue says goodbye to the two, and Alia immediately takes the opportunity to express her surprise at seeing Kuze talking like that to that girl because she thought he didn't have any friends, but the boy points his finger at Alia, implying that she is also his friend, questioning if they really are. Then Alia comes to the conclusion that they are, after thinking about it for a while. She leaves without further ado, saying that she does. Matters resolve and she leaves from there. Then we see a memory of Kuze's childhood where he played with the Russian girl who lived near his grandfather's house. And we sees that they are talking in Russian, admired the sunset together. And the girl corrected the words. He made mistakes, or completed the sentence when he didn't know what to say when the sun goes down. Sometime later, the girl says goodbye to the little ass and gives him a loving kiss on the cheek. But the boy wakes up at that moment remembering that he studied Russian like crazy, just to be able to talk to this girl. But nowadays, he don't even remember her name. The next day, Kuzi and Alia were the ones responsible for organizing the classroom before the first class. As he woke up very early because of the dream, the boy went to school well before to get things sorted so that he had nothing else to do when his task partner got there. She thinks it's going to rain because she's never seen this guy care so much about organization. Then Kuzi notices a stain on his friend's socks. She says that a truck passed through the water and splashed her, and that it was also her fault for walking so close to the street. But anyway, she brought another pair of socks, so it's all good. Changing the subject, Alia asks if he really isn't interested in joining the student council since he's already had an experience once and he can't be bothered with it. But the boy repeats that he doesn't want to, so she lets the subject go and takes off her dirty sock, which makes him look embarrassed, and the smile on the girl's face seems to have been his intention. The next step in the plan was to cross his legs and ask the boy to get her spare sock from the locker, since she ended up taking it off before and now she can't step on the floor. Without much patience, he accepts and takes the sock. The girl asks him to put it on her. This time he can't help but question what's going on. Then she explains that it's a reward for him having picked up the sock, and then she says in Russian that it's also a reward for her. After another sudden confession from the girl in another language, he starts to think about what her intention is with this kind of thing. Maybe she's tired of acting perfect for the whole school and uses him as an escape. Anyway, since the girl pretended to call him a coward in Russian. In response, he holds her foot and starts to put on the sock. After all the aggression there, Alia says she is not prepared for this, but Kuzi goes all the way for being called a coward. But the problem is that in the middle of this, he ends up bumping his hand where he shouldn't. So Alia kicks the warrior in the face, who is defeated and left to die alone. Hours later, the boy returns from the ashes to apologize, so Alia calls him a leg pervert in Russian. However, she also asks for forgiveness for having kicked the boy and tries to put her hand on him to see if everything is okay. But the boy loses his temper and ends up saying that he should be thankful for the beautiful vision that was granted to him during this kick. At the same time, Alia lets out a hill in the young man's can and curses even the 5th generation of the man's family in Russian, and then runs off to try to resolve this mess. Kuza also runs after the girl all over the school. Due to physical education allows her to keep a certain distance, and on top of that, already in the courtyard, she jumps over the side protection of the corridor and leaves the guy eating dust 10 minutes later. The two are panting after the marathon run to recover. Kuze apologizes again, and Alia acknowledges that he was partly to blame to make up for his mistake. After that, Kuze gives the girl her favorite can of Oshiruko that she loves, even though she makes a big deal about it at the beginning. At the end, she accepts, and after taking a sip, she offers him some in Russian. Kuze goes crazy with the possibility of an indirect kiss, but since he doesn't want to reveal that he understands the language, he makes a fool of himself once again. Alia makes fun of him by saying in Russian that the guy doesn't understand anything she says. But that's the end of today's videos, everyone. Like it below and comment on the video to encourage us even more to bring a continuation of this anime.